Hello and welcome to Salubrious Skin with Dr. Irene podcast. This podcast is all about how to attain healthier skin. You may be struggling with a skin condition such as psoriasis or eczema or acne, or perhaps a condition that causes the skin to become unhealthy, such as PCOS or irritable bowel or Crohn's disease. Regardless of what your condition is, healthy skin is attained by having a healthy body. So my mission is about bringing a huge array of experts to your attention in various areas of health. I hope you find this information knowledgeable and insightful and helpful for your specific journey in having better health. Remember to always connect with us through Facebook at Dr. Irene Prantelos, Psoriasis and Healthy Skin. You can email me at info@salubre.com.au. I hope you enjoy the show, and please feel free to give us any sort of insight into what you feel you need to hear in future episodes. Hello and welcome to Salubrious Skin with Dr. Irene. Today I'll be talking to Rena Phillips. Now, Rena Phillips is an amazing person because I met her a few months ago, and when she was doing her your Health Transformation Summit. And we got talking on the phone, and we just took our conversation to so many aspects. And I thought, when I thought I'll launch this podcast, I need Rena on to share her wisdom with all of you, because I've been practicing now 15 years. I've had, my skin issues for, over 30 years. And what we were talking about just really blew me away. So I really wanted to enlighten you and perhaps help you on your health journey with Rena's experience of her own experience and that of her clients. So I want to go through a little bit about who Rena is so you can get a clearer picture, and then we'll start chatting to her and dissecting her intelligence. So Rena is a Mind Detox Practitioner, a nutrition and health coach. She's the author of Take the Stress Out of Cooking Healthy and Delicious and Quick. She has created Master Your Mind and Transform Your Health programs. And as I said, has run Your Health Transformation Global Online Summit. She has been published in Clean Eating Australia, Yum Gluten Free and Huffington Post, and also featured in Namaste TV Journal. Her passion for artistic creation led her to a career as a graphic and web designer, and she volunteered her creative services to an Australian Natural Bodybuilding Federation and designed and manufactured her own unique range of printed fitness leggings, won the Cancer Council Biggest Morning Tea Mug Design Competition in 2010, and was the finalist in the Australia's Richest Art Competition, the Signature of Sydney, in 2006. So Rena's other passion of fitness developed from an early age. She was very skilled and had a natural talent for swimming, athletics, gymnastics, netball, and later worked as a personal trainer. The importance of health became more of a driving force in her life during her own battle with IBS, leaky gut, depression and anxiety. This led her to pursue her lifelong dream of helping and inspiring people by becoming a certified nutrition and health coach and a Mind Detox Practitioner. Rena's mission is to motivate, inspire, and show men, women, and children across the globe to live their most inspired, healthier, and happier life. Welcome, Rena.
Hi, Irene.
What a long list of achievements. Amazing,
I'm hearing it going, oh, wow, I have done a few things.
you kind of forget or you kind of move on, don't you? You go, well, yep, I've done that. What's next on the list, Exactly. Now, before we started recording this, we'll kind of in two minds of where we should take this interview today, because when we first spoke, it was mind-blowing for me when we were talking about various skin things, and I said to you, what did I have, a sebaceous horn as well? I had a sebaceous horn on my
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you were telling me all this insight into what skin diseases mean from an emotional perspective, and even what's a horn. So it's almost like every symptom, every ailment we have is a representation of where our emotions are.
That's right. It can be. Like, I like to take it from the two aspects. So internal, and well, both internal of the gut health, as you know, it's so important, and our emotions, because which is really working on our mind, because our emotions affect us more deeply than we realize, and our experience in life from childhood to adulthood affect us sometimes more deeply than we realize. And that's what, when we were talking, and you were sharing some really personal things about your childhood and how you felt, and then you could see that connection between what happened as a child, how you felt as a child, and how that's come out in your skin. And there's so many different ailments or things that our bodies tell us that we just don't know what it's saying, because we've not been taught why we're having like, I had a frozen shoulder many years ago, and that was related to an emotional event relating to my partner a few years before. It was a very hard relationship, and just as an example, as a frozen shoulder, I couldn't lift my arm further than, I couldn't even lift it further than my waist. And from an emotional standpoint, that means that I couldn't like hug someone. And the left and right sides also mean, male or female, so it depends what side shoulder. So and it made perfect sense, because that the relationship that I had at the time, it was a struggle. I didn't feel like I could, get close to this person. So when you look deeper into the physical ailments and the emotions behind it, you get to understand why our bodies created them, and essentially we've created them.
And I think it's important for people to identify it, because I think what really resonated with me, and like I said, I first got psoriasis when I was 11, and your focus is always on that symptom or that disease that's presenting. And when you've got this underlying sea of emotions that whether they haven't been resolved, or you're not aware of it, because like you said, if it happens when you're younger, perhaps you kind of get on with it, you kind of just sort of stabbing in the dark almost, and that's where the reoccurrence always is happening, because you've never truly addressed or resolved the issues that have actually instigated that disease state or the symptoms that are presenting, isn't it?
Exactly. Like you say, because it's presented in the skin, so we treat the skin. But then there could be an underlying, like you say, an emotional thing related to that.
Yeah.
And once you get to that issue, because as we were saying, psoriasis is, it's a protection. It's a layer of protection.
Yeah.
And it's not like your skin needs extra protection, but your emotions needed protecting.
Your soul almost, isn't it? Your soul needs that protection.
Your body is reacting in a way that's going to keep you safe. So, for example, psoriasis or anything to do with the skin, you may feel like you don't want to be seen out in the world, or you need that extra protection from being hurt by someone, something. So it's individual, but it's very, within psoriasis, eczema, because you get that very hard skin, so it's a protection layer. So it is just, and everyone's different, but when you get to talking and doing the process that I do, it's almost like an aha moment. Like, that was, oh my gosh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
That was the time when that happened, and I felt so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what really got to me. And I think sometimes people might struggle, especially when children are experiencing these skin diseases. They say, well, what issue happened to my child. And I think through all the I don't know if to say the word research or experience, or really try and identify what the reasons were for me. I came to understand that in our genetic material, we gain the emotional, how would you say, the emotions of our parents as well.
Yeah,
so, and it's not to blame
DNA.
parents. I don't want, because one time I said something to a patient. She's like, oh, so the mother's to blame again. And I said, no, it's not about blame. It's about awareness. So when you're aware, you can make those changes. So it doesn't necessarily mean that person has experienced something, isn't it? It could be a generational thing.
That's right. Our DNA holds so much information, and yes, it does carry generational from your, could be your grandparents or your great grandparents. And I mean, when you look at everyone's life, we've all had some sort of emotional trauma.
Of course, yeah.
And some of us can pinpoint a particular emotional trauma, and it's, you can see maybe a year and a half down the track, you might start to get a physical ailment or something, doesn't feel quite right in your body, and it could be related back to that. So it's you don't want to say it's always the mum's fault or anything.
No, I know.
It is about awareness, and
and
the same with gut health. It's about awareness. How are you feeling in your body? It's really that, because I suffered IBS without knowing it pretty much all my life. Always had that cycle of constipation, bloating, diarrhea, all that sort of thing, problematic skin. But it wasn't until my late 30s that I found out it was IBS. It had a name. That was my normal. And then after I did a detox, and it wasn't a hard detox. It was in the beginning because I wasn't used to eating, just clean foods and gluten-free, but lots of vegetables, meat. I could eat pretty much everything that was the earth could provide, Dairy was, Greek yogurt or eggs. But really, you don't go hungry. But I remember after, and I was on it for about 4 months, just over 4 months, and I felt the best I had ever felt. Then I realised, well, that's what normal feels like. That's probably what most people feel like, and I'd never felt like that before, because my normal was what I thought was that was me. I just thought, I felt like a zombie until midday. I always felt tired, no matter how much I slept. I could sleep 9 to 12 hours and still be tired, So that's when I realised gut health is so integral to not only physical health, but your happiness as well.
So with regards to gut health, what is it? I mean, I know everyone hears about the term gut health, but what is gut health?
Well, the health of the gut, as we were saying before, when we were talking before, the gut houses, it's about 80% of our immune system is produced in the gut. So that's huge. And that's also 90% of the chemicals that are responsible for regulating our mood, like serotonin, are made in the gut. So it just goes to make sense that if your gut's happy, then emotionally we can be happy as well.
So would the emotions impact the health of the gut? And vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. When you're stressed, you're really stressed, and you might get that tightness in the gut, and your whole body's tight. You just don't want to eat because you're just stressed. It so does. And when you're happy, your mood lightens, your face lightens. Our emotions definitely affect our gut health. And it's something that, as you say, if you're aware of it, we can change it.
And it's that fight flight, isn't it? When we're stressed, we're in that fight flight. So if we're traditionally going to be, fight flight is the whole lion coming to attack you, but these days we don't have lions roaming around. But you still could have.
We've got lions. We've got all sorts of things. That's right. We're in that fight mode constantly, and it does affect our gut because it's everything's tight in there. Nothing's flowing freely.
So when we're talking about transforming the health of the gut, how would someone even consider that? What is it? Do you fix the emotions first? Do you is it having probiotics? Is it like what if someone has a skin problem? Because I know obviously this podcast is called Salubrious Skin, but at the end of the day, it really is about being healthy from the inside. So the information on these shows that I have translates to every health concern. So if someone is saying, okay, well, I definitely have some emotional baggage there, and I'm trying to get through it, or I'm seeing someone, I'm seeing a counsellor or something. What should they do? What kind of checklist, or what can they do to sort of make those changes they need to make?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, it's up to the individual. Some people might be ready to look at emotions. Some people might not be there yet.
Yeah.
So we'll look at gut health and what they can do. So it's all about what the individual is prepared to do at that time.
Yeah. And I think it's true what you say, if they're ready for emotions, because emotions are just next level. People are very comfortable to say, I have A, B, C, D, how do I fix it? But when you start talking about their emotions, they can either say, I'm fine, or there's been things I've been through, but there's no point in I'm not going to sit there focusing on it, but at the end of the day, there's no healing that's happened, is it? If you haven't
that's right, it's like a Band-Aid effect. We can look, and some people might be totally fine with just looking at their the foods they're eating, the food and drink, and their stress levels, and are they moving enough? All these things that make our bodies in balance, So while someone may be happy to go that route first, there may be someone who's ready to go, look, and I know a few years ago I had a hysterectomy due to some fibroids that were very, very painful.
Yeah.
And it was a shock because one day I've got my uterus, the next day I haven't.
Yeah.
One day I could have children, the next day I couldn't.
Yeah.
And for me, after that, it was an emotional roller coaster, and I went to see a counsellor after that.
Yeah.
And I was ready to do that because I knew that's what was stopping me having a happy life.
Yeah.
But it can be like the process of going to see a counsellor is different to the Mind Detox.
Yeah.
Because it's about talking about what happened a lot and not really ever getting a resolution. Whereas Mind Detox, you get a resolution and you understand why what happened has affected you and how you can stop it affecting you now.
So if someone is, I know we're going to talk about gut health a bit more, but I'm just, emotions are something that really
fascinating.
Because I get a lot of patients, and they do want to make the changes, and they're aware of their circumstances, whatever they are. But if the issues keep re-emerging, I think the main issue is people don't know how to deal with, and sometimes it's family. So it could be a family member that is kind of triggering the emotion. It could be whether they've married into the family that they're creating the disruption, or it could be their own immediate family that aren't supportive, or and sometimes, like one of my patients, she goes, it's all about the sly remarks. It's it's they're condescending, and I say to her, they're obviously coming from a place of their own pain, and they're just projecting it on you. And she goes, but how do I not be affected by that? It hurts me, it upsets me, and I think we all have this desire to be liked and part of a community. And when it comes to your family, you kind of think they're meant to be my rock, you know, they're meant to be my safe place, and that's not the case. So how does someone, if they've felt that they have truly dealt with something, but it keeps re-emerging, what can they do?
That's a good point, because I've had people go through my Mind Detox process, and in one session you can resolve an issue that you may have worked on with a counsellor or psychologist or anyone else previously, and you thought that you got over it. It's getting to that knowing that no matter what anyone does, what anyone says, what has ever happened, it's getting to that knowing that you are worthy of having love. You are worthy of being happy. You are worthy of everything that you might be blocking at the moment because you think it's keeping you safe. You know, so it's a process, and it's a beautiful process. It's just, you know, both of us talking. I'm asking specific questions. And it's amazing that during the process you might come up with a memory that you never even thought you had. You might have forgotten this, and it might come up, and that will be the catalyst for why you're feeling this way now. You know.
And so I think because I was going to ask something else, but a patient popped into my head. I saw her for an ankle issue, and because acupuncture can kind of you know, purge these emotions, and she was actually crying because she had miscarried 25 years prior. And when she had miscarried, everyone was saying to her, don't worry, you'll have other children, you'll be fine. And it's almost like she didn't mourn the loss of that child. And 25 years later, she was still crying as if it just happened. So it can come from any direction, can it?
That's right. I mean, as you say, it can release, because we hold our emotions in our muscles as well. Like my frozen shoulder, my muscle froze up for about a year and a half. So we do hold our emotions in our body, and some people have said that they get that emotional release when they start doing yoga or some sort of, you know, physical activity, especially yoga, because you're really concentrating on the movement and the stretching and releasing the tension in the body, which is releasing emotions in some cases. So it can be very, you know, healing and cathartic to have things like acupuncture and yoga, and a great emotional as well as a physical release as well. So,
and I think it's also peeling away the layers, isn't it?
Like an onion.
We over a period of time and the experiences we have, we kind of just, it's almost like you know, getting cement or mud and just suppressing it, and something else happens. Let's just pat that down because it has no benefit. There's no point in dwelling on it. So let's just pat that down, and then something else happens. And it's almost like sometimes, I know, I mean, even my husband, he doesn't express emotions very well, and he can definitely be a volcano. So he keeps it all in, and then at some point it's like
it'll be a trigger, and
I'm like, I did not see that one coming. I mean, now that we've been together for over 20 years, I can definitely see him doing it. But in the initial stages, I kind of didn't. And I'm someone who expresses my emotions straight away. You know, that upset me. I'm feeling like this. You know, I try and have that dialogue with him. Whereas, you know, it's something as simple as when we first got married, I would typically come home and, you know, be quiet. I was tired. I didn't really want to talk much. And he felt that I was ignoring him. And it was months later until he just lost it and goes, you're so rude. I look forward to seeing you. You don't want to talk to me.
You don't talk to me when you come home.
If you had just done that from day one, I kind of would have changed my behaviour. I didn't know it was having that impact.
And that's the thing. It's our perception too.
Yeah.
Our perception is not necessarily truth. It's our reality, and someone else's reality could be totally different from ours.
Yeah.
Which is, again, what we go through when we do this Mind Detox process. Because, you know, we can both see the same movie and both come out and tell a totally different story of what it's about, because we got something different from it, because emotionally we might be connected to a certain aspect of it, and you might be connected to a different emotional aspect of it. So it is true, and we do suppress emotions, and as you say, they compound. You know, you suppress.
Yeah.
So you might peel off that layer, and then a few months or a year or whatever down the track, there might be something that triggers that.
Yeah.
And
it's also expectation, isn't it? So if someone is having a dialogue with someone and they're not getting whatever they feel they need from it, it's perhaps expectation that's different. So that's where, you know, someone might have an emotional response to one circumstance where someone else might not necessarily have that same response because of their expectations being different.
Yeah, that's right. Like your story with your husband, like he expected to have a conversation, and with you when you get home, and you just like, I'm tired, I want to rest. I'm happy to be in your space because you're my husband, and I'm happy to just be in this home. But so it is that expectation, and we're all coming from a different reality because, as I say, of what we've experienced in our past with our family, who we've grown up with.
Yeah.
It's all very fascinating when you start to talk to a person about what's happened in their past, and then when like that light comes on, the realization of, I know now why I do this.
Yeah. And so with gut health, and I'm kind of switching back.
We'll go back to that,
A lot of people, they'll say, oh, I'm having the fermented foods, I'm having my probiotics, and it's still not working. But it could be the emotions that are kind of sabotaging that renewal of gut, couldn't it?
Look, there's many things, I think I could say three of the most important things would be your stress levels.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good look at where they're coming from in your life. Is it work? Do you hate that commute in the morning? What gets your blood boiling? What makes you tense in the day? Do you really enjoy your job? Are you enjoying your relationships, your family? And of course, we've got all that other environmental stress that there's not a lot we can do about, with the radiation from computer screens, the exhaust from cars, pollution in the atmosphere. There's all that we've got to consider as well. So stress is it's a wide topic, and it's something that you need to assess for yourself.
Yeah.
How stressed you are. Food and drink that you eat is another one. How much processed foods are you having? How much water are you having a day? Are you really getting hydrated?
Mm-hmm.
Are you perhaps having too many treats that, and I've been guilty of this for sure.
I know I have people say, oh my gosh, I feel sorry for you, you can't have sugar. And I always say, I had a lifelong amount of sugar when I was younger. So don't worry, don't feel bad for me, because I have had a ridiculous amount as a kid. And that wasn't from my mum. It was the after school snacks that I would, go to the shops and eat, and she wouldn't have an idea about. So, I say to them, don't worry, I've had my fair share of Fanta and Coke and Freddo frogs and caramel koalas.
Oh, yeah, yum.
All the stuff that I was addicted to as a kid.
Sugar is one of the big ones, and because it's hidden in so many foods nowadays, it's so easy to overindulge in that. And it's not like, once you do find you're not eating the sugar, there are fruit has natural sugars, there are naturally sweet vegetables, and you can make still great cakes and slices and biscuits to have that don't make you feel deprived, because you're not having what we commonly use, processed sugar. So it's just all about just the knowledge, and that's why I wrote the cookbook, because I don't have a lot of time to spend in the kitchen, but yet I want something that's going to support my health and be quick to make. So there are plenty of ways to do that. You just have to start. So sugar is definitely a big one. What you're eating and drinking, and sleep, quality sleep.
Yes, I think that gets misunderstood a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, and as I said, when I most of my life 9 hours or even 12 hours. And I wasn't sleeping right through. I'd be getting up at least twice to go to the toilet, if not 3 times. So my sleep was always very broken.
Yeah.
But, the studies show now that if you have an unbroken sleep for an extended period of time, maybe 6 or more hours, that is the restorative kind that we need. Not the broken sleep where you're tossing and turning and you don't really just let the body shut down and repair itself. So sleep, I can run off less sleep now than I used to, which is fantastic because I get more done. But that is, I think, in our busy lifestyle, we often sacrifice that to, for other things. So it's very important.
So it's something that I think people should, I think I do believe people do understand the importance of sleep, but they don't necessarily know where the disruption or why the disruption is happening. I know, people have had sleep apnea. I've had patients where they've got sleep apnea, and once they've identified that, that's helped. But that often comes from something, being overweight, a very sort of what we would call very damp diet, so like dairy products and all that sort of stuff. So instead of just rushing and saying, okay, well, let me just get sleep assessed, if it's to lose 10 or 20 kilos, it's kind of, that should be the focal point. And what you said before about moving and getting a little bit healthier from that perspective, that can often help with sleep as well.
Exactly. And I find not having a huge meal at night also helps me sleep better.
So what time would you have your cut off? Like, would you have like a 7, or is it hours before going to sleep? So 4 hours prior, or?
I try and have, also, so I don't wake up and have to go to the toilet, I try and get my water in, early on in the morning and afternoon.
Yeah.
So my toilet breaks are during the day and not at night. So but I like it. It's up to the individual. I know some people who can have a large meal and sleep perfectly well. So, find what works for you, and that's the key, to find what works for you. And it may take some experimentation. Maybe your large meal is lunch. Maybe your largest meal is breakfast, and you get smaller from there. Or maybe you just have something smaller for dinner, or have a couple of snacks or a snack before you go to bed. Some people are fine with a protein snack before bed as well. So, find what works for you, but it really is individual.
And so
I'd say there might be an emotional aspect to that as well.
Yeah. With what you were saying before, because when when I was saying your intro, and you said, I mentioned you had the irritable bowel and leaky gut and then the emotional stuff. There's definitely, we know that there's a definite gut-mind correlation there. So if someone just has the emotional stuff, they really need to identify what's going on with their gut too. So it could be a dietary thing, it could be perhaps even a food intolerance that is creating the emotional, or the negativity or the emotional expression of whether that's depression or irritable or whatever it is.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because leaky gut, which is what I had a few times, that has been correlated to depression, anxiety, and a host of other diseases. Most of the diseases we have today is due to an imbalanced, unhealthy gut. Because as we know, it's so important. The good bacteria in there. We're more bacterial than anything. We've got, I think, 10 times more bacteria in us than human cells in the body, something like that. So it really is important.
Don't freak out, people. It's not a bad thing.
We're not human.
I tell you a funny story. I wanted to give my dad probiotics. My dad's like, Greek background. My dad's like, what's this probiotics? Dad, they're just live bacteria. It's just meant to help with your gut. It's meant to just, give you a better digestion, just help you overall. Oh, it's alive? Yes. Oh, okay. So subsequent visits. Dad, have you taken your probiotics? No. Dad, have you taken your probiotics? After a period of time, I'm like, Dad, are you going to take them? You know, you said they were alive and that freaked me out, so I'm not going to take them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Why did I say that? Because I thought, let's be honest, let's just, you know, be truthful as to what he's taking.
Yeah.
And I completely freaked him out by saying it was live bacteria.
Well, like yogurt. Yogurt has live bacteria. It's good cultures.
Yeah, he doesn't eat yogurt. He's never eaten yogurt in his life.
He's Greek and he doesn't eat yogurt.
He doesn't eat yogurt.
Oh.
I know. I said, well, what type of Greek are you?
I love Greek yogurt. I had it this morning with my paleo granola, which was
yeah, that sounds great. No, so if you're trying to get maybe probiotics into your children, if they're anything like my dad, definitely don't tell them it's live, because
Greek yogurt in their smoothies and
yeah. I just think sometimes the less some people know, the better. So, so with restoring emotions and gut, do you look at supplementation at all? Do you have that belief that that's something that's important?
Oh, absolutely. Look, there's something different for everyone. You know, I don't like saying that this is the only way to go, because it's not. There's more than one way to be healthy and happy. And the two ways that I do it are the ones that I like to do. So, but definitely probiotics, very important. Sometimes when I may have eaten something, we've gone out and I may have eaten something that didn't agree with me, I'll pop a probiotic. It actually helps really well. Sometimes it could be just the simple things like having a peppermint tea as well.
Yeah.
Feeling a little bit bloated, have some peppermint tea.
Yeah.
And that helps, you know, within half an hour or less.
Yeah.
Just things like, or even ginger.
Yeah.
Even ginger tea, or adding ginger to your meals.
Yeah.
But definitely probiotics, and also digestive enzymes are great to help you digest the proteins, the fats that you're eating. So, you know, those two are pretty powerful in itself for helping the gut. And
so you mentioned sugar before, but what about gluten?
Gluten.
Is gluten that's something that upsets the gut?
It can upset. For me, I was gluten intolerant, so not celiac. Celiacs can't have gluten at all.
Yeah.
So yes.
So what's the difference? Could you explain the difference with gluten intolerance and celiac disease?
So celiacs, if they have any type of gluten at all, a small smidgen of gluten, they can have an allergic reaction that can be very, very serious. For me, gluten intolerance, I can have gluten, but it will cause me to feel very unwell and bloated and sick. So, but the good thing is now I actually have gluten bread now and again. It doesn't affect me as it did before. So if you do improve the health of your gut, you can have, you know, some of these foods that you might not have been able to have before, or that made you feel, you know, crappy and unwell. So when I was first diagnosed as IBS and I went on a naturopath guided detox, gluten was out, you know. And even gluten-free breads and pastas, they were out as well, which is, I mean, it's amazing now we've got all these products that are gluten-free, but still watch for all the sugar content on these products, because they're not.
So with the gluten-free pasta, what was the premise behind that to avoid that? Was it?
It was just to eat really clean, just to allow my body to heal.
To not have the processed foods.
Yeah. And I was also having some supplements on the different stages to help my leaky gut. So it just allows you, the more clean you can go, just allows the body to heal more faster.
Yeah. And I think it's important for listeners to know that with gluten's actually been researched to increase inflammation in the body.
Exactly.
And inflammation will flare up leaky gut, really.
That's it. Inflammation, leaky gut, gut issues, IBS is inflammation in the body. It's so, like, there's so many aspects that gut health. I've got a book on my website, but it just affects so many different parts of the body, not just the gut, you know, not just the skin, mental health,
Yeah.
our physical health, our emotional health, depression, anxiety, as I said before, and this is what I grew up with.
Mm.
And as I said, I that was my normal, and my gut health was bad from childhood. So, you just wonder, if I'd dealt with it back then, maybe I wouldn't have had all the stuff that I was dealing with, the depression and the anxiety later on in life. But I've got to say, when your gut's happy, you emotionally, you can be happier as well.
Yeah, and I think with me, I definitely have that response to food. And when I, not that I don't eat clean now, I don't really have a choice. I have to eat that way. But, even if I see someone else eat, it's obviously psychosomatic, isn't it? So if I see someone else eat a cake or a carb, I actually physically feel unwell. I just know, oh, that's just not going to agree with me if I ate that. I just know the feeling it gives me when I did used to eat that, and it was so unpleasant, and it wasn't, definitely not worth it. You do have that initial craving or desire for that, and as soon as you've eaten it, you can feel horrible. I tell patients sometimes of a story when I was a few years ago, and my food hadn't fully cooked yet, and I was super hungry, and my husband thought, I'm going to go buy a pizza, and I had 2 bites of a slice, so just 2 bites, that's it, and I couldn't sleep that night. My stomach was like, what do you want me to do with this food? I can't digest it. I felt like it was glue. I felt my stomach, it was trying to pull it apart, and it couldn't. And I didn't have any reaction to my skin. But from that moment, whenever I look at pizza, I just remember that feeling of absolute pain. It was actually painful, and I did not sleep. So that's the massive correlation with a food you might be intolerant to and the impact it has on your sleep, isn't it?
Absolutely. And as you say, that association now is with you. So
yeah. I think I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to that, though. It's
actually,
like,
I mean, I buy pre-made gluten. There's a gluten-free base in Coles that I buy. I make my own pizza, and it's fine. So, you can test yourself on foods, and if they're fine for you, have them every now and then.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to know it takes 72 hours to see a reaction. So it doesn't have to be immediate. So if you don't immediately feel horrible, it doesn't mean it's okay. Just give yourself at least that period of time before you have a reaction.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And if you have a food, 2 days in a row, you'll really know whether your body likes it or not.
Yeah.
It'll tell you.
Yeah. And that's the thing about being in tune with your body, isn't it? It's just, it's amazing.
Exactly. If you learn to listen to what it's saying, then you'll be very intuitive with the foods that you choose to eat. And you'll know that, there are times when I feel like, I just want a burger and chips or something.
Yeah.
And I'll go start to prepare it, and then I'll go, no, I don't really want that. You actually do. Your body does tell you in various ways. So I think the more you begin to know what is healthy for your body, the more you choose that, because you feel better. You feel healthier. You feel more happier, in control, more loving to your family. Everything kind of seems in balance.
Yeah, definitely. So if someone is going, okay, I think there's a lot of emotional baggage I have, but I don't really know what to do. How do I, because that's the biggest concern. I don't know if it's a concern or obstacle. People may be very well aware of what the emotions are and what perpetuated it, but they may not know how to resolve it. Is the best thing to come in and well, not necessarily come in, but because I know you do Skype sessions as well, but to have that chat with you and to try and break it down and identify where it's all coming from. Is that kind of the best way to go about it?
It's a great way. That probably the initial thing that I would ask is, what's the emotion that you're feeling?
Okay.
And it's going to be a tough one. You know, we want a strong emotion. We want it to feel, if you feel anger,
yeah,
like 9 out of 10. If
yeah,
if you're angry and I ask you, you know, how do you feel out of 10, with 10 being the highest, and you say 9 out of 10, okay, let's work on that. You know, what's behind the anger?
yeah,
Then we'll do the process. So, you know, there's the top, like, negative emotions: anger, fear, unloved, unworthy, all these really high emotions that affect us
yeah.
deeply.
And you, before, when you're talking about stripping away the layers, the objective of this process that you do, the mind detox, is it to reach that point of self-love? Is that the absolute objective?
The objective is that you no longer feel that negative emotion in that capacity,
Yeah.
or that we've resolved the trigger for that.
Okay.
So it could be absolutely anything. You know.
So what if someone says, listen, I actually don't have any negative emotions. I pretty much feel pretty good, but I've got this condition. That could be a suppressed emotion that they're not aware of, isn't it?
It could be. Yeah, you could come at it from a condition as well. Let's see what's behind the psoriasis, or let's see what's behind the eczema. You know?
I keep having these flare-ups. You know, I'm trying to do everything right. Excuse me. I pretty much feel happy. You know, my life's pretty good. But for some reason, this thing keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of start trying to strip things away a bit.
That's right. We do the process and see where
it takes you.
Where it started, as to what was the trigger for that.
And that's where I think I really like what you do, because it's not this is the condition and this is the outcome.
But I have no idea of. I don't know the answer. You know the answer. And through the process, you get to understand what the answer is.
But knowing to ask the right questions is what brings the answer through.
That's it. You just go through the process, and eventually, because your unconscious mind houses your emotions.
Okay.
And, you know, unconsciously, we do things unconsciously. So we don't know that we're doing it. It's just that we're doing it. So that would be a very powerful way for us to live, if we're coming from an unconscious level and we're living in a certain way that's producing, you know, the eczema, that's producing something that we perceive as not good for us, but is really trying to protect us. Yeah. So we have to find what was that trigger initially. Yeah. Resolve that.
And so with the subconscious mind, that's where people won't necessarily feel the impact of a circumstance that has happened to them.
That's right. We've suppressed it. We've made it a fact in our mind, and that's how we're going to live from now on. Yeah. Unconsciously. Yeah. You know. Yeah. You know, there's, you know how some people say, I always attract the wrong man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And unconsciously there might be something there that you're doing it for a certain reason. You don't know, and I don't know, but.
So the mind detox extends to all of that, doesn't it? So someone could easily come to you and go, actually, I don't have any issue with my health, but I keep having the wrong relationships, or so. Yeah,
that's right. One person did come to me for that, and, you know, I just can't seem to find the right person. Yeah. So we went through and did it, and a lot of it comes from a time when we did feel so deeply hurt, unloved, unworthy.
Yeah. Because it can even be you being shut down as a kid. You know, you could be excited about something, and you might be telling a friend or a parent and really excited, and they're just shut down.
Yeah. You get a response that you didn't want, and then you go, oh, you know, okay. Yeah. I won't do that again. You know, I won't open myself up again, or I won't share my feelings like that again because I got hurt really badly.
So
And that might be something unconsciously you take through into adulthood.
So it's the avoidance of pain that we try and do, isn't it?
It's as I said, our mind is always trying to protect us. And
Okay.
it might come out in a weird way.
Yeah.
But that's our mind saying, all right, well, for you to not feel that bad again, this is what I'm going to do to protect you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the outcome is always pretty shitty, I think.
Yeah, you just don't know. It can be, you know.
I'm just projecting my experience of having psoriasis. That outcome was pretty crap, to be honest.
Yeah.
And by no means did I ever look at emotions in the first several years. You know, I was a kid. Obviously.
Sometimes we're not ready to, as you say. Sometimes we're just not ready to go there.
Yeah.
Because it is too painful.
Yeah.
I've had people come
not necessarily knowing, because you just fix the physical. You don't even know that the emotions are having, like, you know, someone who says I'm attracted to the wrong person, that is something that has been an issue from an experience they've had earlier on in their life.
Yeah.
And they would never, I don't think necessarily they would have identified that. So it's sometimes people, not that I don't like using the word victim, because I don't necessarily think people do want to be a victim. But, you know, our actions do have ramifications, whether they're positive or negative. They do have a ramification to us and the people around us. So if we're trying to avoid being hurt, then we're kind of going to a place where, or on the flip side, we could be used to being hurt, isn't it? It could be, you know,
it could be our normal, and that's
a great relationship. So then this is familiar to me. This is familiar for me to be around someone who I'm bigger with and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. It's what I'm used to, and I don't want to go outside of my box.
Yep.
You know, I don't want to maybe go outside, because then I might experience something that I don't know how to handle.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And it's important to know that we have the power to change anything. We have the power to change our physical health, our emotional health, our mental health. We have that ability because we have choices.
Yeah.
So the choices we make affect our happiness and our physical health.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. I think that's a great spot to end it. We can ramble on forever.
I know.
But yeah, obviously, you know, I have already said that the emotions fascinate me, because you know, I do try and look at if I have had, you know, I don't know if it's a confrontation or an experience with someone who, you know, perhaps has given me not necessarily a positive experience. I do try and look at where that person's coming from, but at the same time, I do also want to protect myself. So if it's a friendship or whoever, that it's not a very healthy one, I do tend to sort of go, you know what, this isn't going to keep going. I'm going to kind of end it, because, you know, I think at the end of the day, people need to only focus on themselves. They can't focus. You can't change someone else. So,
no, that's right. And sometimes you need to set boundaries for your own health. Sometimes you have friends that are in your life for a certain reason and for a certain season, because they need to learn their lessons from you. And sometimes they go off because that's, you know, they've either learned it or they're not ready to, or we're not ready to. I mean, I had a friend who was going through something with another friend, and she was texting me and we were going through a conversation, and she said, oh, I realise now what it was about, and I'm cool with it. And I just knew that she wasn't cool with it. She was still shutting down. And so I was pushing a little bit, because, you know, she's a good friend of mine, and I wasn't going to let her believe that she was free from it, because it will come back to her. So I pushed. And we got that breakthrough that she wanted. She was getting, you know, pretty angry at me for doing that, but I knew that there was something more that she needed to realise for her to be free of it. And when she just, you know, she appreciated what I did, and she realised I would have thought of that had you not. just gone that a little bit further.
And I think it's good to have someone who challenges you, I think. If you have those yes people around you, there's never any growth, is there? There's never any personal growth to learn from your circumstances. You have people just going, yes, you're right, that person was wrong, you should hold onto that, vindictiveness.
And I see, you see a lot of that on Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook very often now, but you see a lot of that, support for a friend because you want to help what they're going through, but there's not actually any learning in the process where the situation could help you grow and become, a better person or, more understanding person. And I think that's a big thing in today's world we really need to look at as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I think that there's so many facets to what you offer, and that's where it can't be sort of specified, this is the protocol. It's like, I want you to start talking, and then by you talking, that's where we're going to go down. And that's the focus people need to be aware of for their health. It needs to be something that is individualized and not this blanket approach of, you have this condition, so this is the approach we use for every single person with this condition, because it all manifests from a completely different, unique experience. And the progression of the illness as well takes its own unique process. And like you said, I see various people give advice to other people. Oh, you know what, I had that and I did this and it was great for me. And I always say to myself, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be great for that person. So I love your approach about, I want you to start talking, and then we're going to go. We're going to get in there. We're going to dissect everything and figure out where it's all coming from. But you need to start the process of talking, which I think is important. So thank you so much for today. It's been great.
Thanks, Irene. I love talking to you. Always have a good laugh.
I totally, even when we spoke last time before your global online summit, it dissected a lot for me. It really brought a lot of stuff to my attention. But it's almost like you feel like you need to kind of revisit that, don't you? Because you're kind of in a different place. So then you go, okay, well now I kind of feel like this. So maybe something else is going to come to my awareness.
Exactly. You might be triggered by something else. As you say, it's an onion. So we keep peeling, and, we're never really free of anything. We've still got to keep up our health, our physical health. We've still got to keep up our emotional health as well. So it's not, I've done 3-5 sessions, I'm free now. That's it. I'm good to go, because we're always experiencing new things. And as you say, with the world, things happening with the world or things happening in your personal and family life, something may trigger an emotion. You go, oh, where did that come from?
Yeah. My mum told me a story about a relative, and it was not a nice story. It was something that, they're struggling with, but we've had a very strained relationship over the years, and I kind of had no emotion to it. And I said to my husband, I should have had an emotion towards what my mum said. I should have felt something. And I said, but I felt numb. I didn't feel anything. And that was a struggle for me, because I'm like, have I just become dead inside? Or have I just sort of cut myself off from this person? Why did I react in that way? So it's not even reacting in an aggressive way that you said, like anger or whatever. It might be no reaction. It might be nothing that makes you think, well, that's odd, So I definitely, it was only a few days ago, so I'm still perplexed by I should have had some response. I should have either felt sad or I didn't actually offer any information to my mum, because I was just speechless. I was just numb. I just had nothing. I had nothing to give. So I still don't. So it's not like it was an initial shock. I still don't know what to say. So it's interesting how we sometimes can go in different paths. It doesn't have to be a place of being vocal and angry. It could actually be a place of just shutting yourself down and not feeling any emotion.
That's right, because
Yeah.
that in itself is a reaction.
Yeah.
You know,
So no reaction is a reaction. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah, like, in a certain, and you have to also ask yourself, you know, the thing around the word should.
Yeah.
Because we're all so, we should do that, we should do this, but sometimes the should is something different for everyone.
Okay.
So, you know, ask yourself, did I really need to have a reaction, or was what my reaction just acceptable? Was it fine? Was
Yeah. Yeah.
it?
Because my mum was tearing up saying it, and I was like, should I be tearing up? I wasn't laughing. I'm not saying I was laughing. I'm laughing now because it was kind of a bit of a surreal moment for me. But, you know, I think there's like you said, there's so many aspects to who we are, and the human body is an incredibly amazing system of you know, processes and communication and
there's so much we still need to learn about it. You know,
yeah, totally. Like, we only know a drop in the ocean, really. It's much more perplexing than people necessarily give it credit for. But I thank you for your time. I've got to stop talking, otherwise. Otherwise, you know, we'll be talking well into the evening. But thank you for your time. Irene. I definitely need a mind detox.
I'm here for you.
But if anyone is interested, where should they be heading over to?
Just go to renajoy.com. And you can have a look on there. There's more information about what I do. You can send me an email, rena@renajoy.com. And you know,
okay. All right, we'll put that onto the screen. And thank you again. Have a great day. Hope you all enjoyed Rena's insight. I certainly did, and you definitely threw a few more gems my way. So you don't have to feel if you don't feel you feel. That's one thing I realized. All right, thank you, Rena, so much. Bye.